Welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Wednesday, where we talk about the lighter side of true crime. The Rinna Hitman and Strangest Deaths episodes got us thinking about other strange true crime related topics, like the most bizarre 911 calls dispatchers have received. But we can't go down that rabbit hole without talking about the history of 911 and the true crime case that expedited its creation. Before we dive in, here's today's riddle. An old lady in the United States has a heart attack and dials 911. No one came, and she died. How could this have happened? Stay tuned until the end for the answer.
Did you know that before 1968, there was no centralized number for people to call in the case of an emergency? Citizens could either dial 0 to speak with an operator who would connect them, or they could call a local 7-digit number to reach police, fire, or emergency services. The system can be traced back to the early 1900s when a portable telephone with a hand crank that could be attached directly to telephone wire was invented. So imagine it. Two metal hooks were placed on the telephone wires to make a connection, and then the hand box was cranked to create a signal that would hopefully be answered, but there was no guarantee that it would be. ICERT, the Industry Council of Emergency Response Technologies, claims that it was successfully used in 1907 to report a train robbery. According to NEMA, the National Emergency Number Association, requests for a national emergency number began in 1957 when the National Association of Fire Chiefs stated that it would be easier for people to report fires if there was one number they could call. That would have come in real handy during the fire at the Sodders. Just
Yeah.
saying. Yeah. But it would take 10 years and a murder before the United States created the system.
Catherine, Kitty Genovese, was a 28-year-old secretary by day and bar manager by night in New York City in 1964. She lived with her girlfriend, Mary Ann Zylonko, in Kew Gardens in Queens, which was a relatively safe neighborhood. Kitty was returning home from work around 2:30 a.m. on March 13th, 1964, when she was approached by a man with a knife. Kitty ran toward the front door of her apartment building, but the man caught up to her and grabbed her. She screamed as he stabbed her. A neighbor who heard the screams looked out his window, saw what was happening, and yelled at the attacker to let that girl alone, causing the man to flee. Seriously injured, Kitty crawled to the back of the apartment building away from prying eyes and, hopefully, the attacker. Unfortunately, her attacker returned and proceeded to stab, rob, and rape her before leaving her for dead. A neighbor found Kitty and yelled for someone to call for help. Police arrived quickly, but Kitty died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital.
The New York Times ran an article in late March of 1964 titled 37 Who Saw Murder Didn't Call the Police. The article alleged that multiple neighbors and bystanders witnessed or heard the attack but did nothing to help her. While it is true that there were some witnesses who didn't react in a helpful way, the outrageous number of 37 claimed by the New York Times was debunked. Kitty's younger brother Bill even produced a documentary called The Witness in 2015, which speaks to the case against the Times reporting. Though there may have been people on the scene who didn't help Kitty in her time of need, there was a man who did attempt to call for help. The neighbor called the local police number and was put on hold. When someone finally talked to him, he pleaded for someone to come help the woman who had been beaten and was staggering around on the street. No one responded. Kitty's public attack was heard and seen by many and lasted at least 30 minutes, and no one helped her.
Thanks to one helpful witness who saw the attacker's vehicle, Winston Mosley, was arrested and charged with her murder 6 days after the crime. Of course, we can't sit here and say that Kitty's case was the only catalyst for why 911 came to be, but the seriousness of the incident and lack of response from police definitely make it a large contributing factor. So, who finally made it happen? Fun fact, AT&T operated nearly all telephone connections in 1968 and they established the 911 line. Yeah, the company that many of us pray to for good cell phone reception is the same company that gave us 911. Why that number? They wanted a number that was short, easy to remember, and unique. Also, it had never been used as an area code or service number before. This was when rotary telephones were used, so the shorter the number, the better. For the young people listening, rotary phones had a circular dial with numbers arranged in a circular layout and a finger hole for each number. You had to spin the dial for each number in the phone number. It still blows my mind that there are people who have never experienced a rotary phone.
Hold on a second though. AT&T may have created the line, but they weren't the first to use it. B.W. Gallagher, the president of the Alabama Telephone Company, read about AT&T's plan in the Wall Street Journal in January of 1968 and decided to beat them at their own game. Gallagher obtained the necessary approvals to install the system in Haleyville, Alabama. He enlisted the help of the Alabama Telephone Company plant manager, Robert Fitzgerald, to help install the gear for the 911 system. On February 16th of 1968, State Representative Rankin Fight placed the first ever 911 call from the Haleyville mayor's office. It was answered by United States Representative Tom Bevel at the Haleyville police station. It wasn't long before 911 was used all over the country, making it simple and effective for people to call for help when needed. There's a ton of other information we could get into around the location transmission, cell phones, and other nuances associated with 911, but we'll save that for another day. It's time to get into the what the fuck portion of today's episode.
I think it's safe to say that many of us have accidentally called 911 now that it's so easily accessible on a smartphone, or called it as a kid because we were bored and wanted to see what would happen. Side
Guilty.
note,
Yes.
do not do that. Do not call 911 for no reason. You will get in legal trouble. But sometimes dispatchers receive calls that aren't so much life threatening, but ridiculous. And it's time to get into the reason you're all here, a list of 10 of the funniest 911 calls.
Oh man, these are good.
I'm
Here
so
we go.
excited.
Okay. Number 10. We're going backwards today. From user IGoYugo on Reddit. Quote, my uncle was a dispatcher in a suburb of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and would tell me stories whenever I saw him. My favorite goes like this. Uncle, 911, what's your emergency? Caller, yes, I'd like to report two suspicious vehicles passing something back and forth in Potawatomi Park. Uncle, okay, we'll send an officer out to assess. Uncle, dispatch to car 45, two suspicious vehicles in Potawatomi Park passing items back and forth. Car 45, uh, car 45 to dispatch. That's me and officers something or other passing Cheetos. Uncle, 10-4.
Hey
I'm already
man, they
there.
just wanted they just wanted their Cheetos.
They're just hungry. Leave them alone. Also, were they undercover? Like, how were they suspicious? Were they marked cars?
Good
You know,
question.
two suspicious vehicles, two police officers talking to each other in a park? Like,
I bet they were like one of the unmarked cars. And
probably, or just like
so
all
like
black or something.
yeah, and then so immediately you're like, "Oh, drug dealer."
Drug deal. Nope, Cheeto dealing.
Drug.
It's just
No.
Cheeto.
Just fucking hungry officers of the law passing back and forth Cheetos.
They're doing their jobs, okay? Leave them alone. Let them have their little snackies. It's okay.
Oh, I love that one so much. Number 9 on the list comes from user Jersey Hobby. Quote, one time my family's 12-pound Bichon dog tripped on a phone cord that yanked the phone to the ground. My mom, who was cooking at the time, noticed the dog walking on the phone. So naturally, she yelled, I'm going to kill you, dog, at Corky before picking up the phone. Turns out the doggo called 911 and the operator heard at least part of the threat. So 6 cops showed up, sirens and all, demanding to search every room in the house. It was a good break from math homework. End quote. You know, my threats to my husband, children, and dog also come out. I'm going to murder you. I
I'm gonna
may want to
murder you.
rethink that from now on.
Yeah. I thought that was so funny. Did they not hear the dog part of that statement?
Hey,
Or
but
they
you
could
know
have been
what?
calling a person a dog. I'm gonna kill you, dog. No, it's
Exactly.
the actual fucking dog called 911. Oh my god. Could you imagine having to explain that one to the neighbors? We're fine. The dog called
My
911.
dog called 911. It's all right. It's fine.
Okay, if that's what you want to say. Sure.
That is like taking my dog ate my homework excuse to the next level. Except it's true.
Oh, this next one also involves Cheetos. From user Vagabond PTA. This was before weed was legal in my state. Side note, still not legal in Texas. Anyway, but a college kid called asking for an ambulance. He was super worried that he was having an allergic reaction to the weed he just smoked. When asked about his symptoms, he said, I just can't stop eating Cheetos. That sounds like a pretty normal symptom to me. Had you never smoked weed before? Ever?
I
Ever
feel for the
tried
guy.
it?
I mean, I have the same problem, but I don't smoke weed, so
No. Can I call the next time I can't stop eating the kids' Ritz Bits? Like, so just get them away from me, please.
Whew. Just kidding. I don't actually eat Cheetos. I eat Takis.
Doggies, yes.
Number 7 on the list comes from user Deathmonger. Quote, lady called in because she thought Willie Nelson was having a cardiac arrest in her trailer and she needed an ambulance. I started giving her CPR instructions, and come to find out, when paramedics got there, she was doing compressions on the couch cushions. End quote. Okay, I have questions. Drugs?
Obviously. Obviously. Where does Willie
Willie
Nelson come
Nelson?
into this?
I think that's the thing that's tripping me up the most. I mean,
Was her couch plaid? Did it have some sort of shaggy braided fabric on it?
maybe it was just scratchy like his beard.
Maybe? I mean,
I Please tell me she was at least playing like Willie Nelson music.
I
And
don't
in her
know.
random ass state, she thought that Willie was actually like on her couch singing, but maybe like, oh, my brain is going now. Like maybe the record skipped or something like that. And so she thought like, oh my
Uh,
God, he's dying. Must save Willie Nelson.
but once you started pushing on the couch cushions, when you realize they weren't a person, maybe not because drugs.
Drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad, okay? We keep saying this, guys. I don't know how many more times we have to say that. This next one also takes place in a trailer or has to do with a trailer. Number 6 from user Camoern. I think that's how you say it. Not me, but my wife, who works both as a secretary for a fire department and is a volunteer firefighter EMT. A lady calls asking if she can donate a building for a training burn in. After asking questions, she finds out it's not a building, but an RV. More questions. It's not her RV. It was abandoned on her property. I gotta get through this. Just a few more questions. Okay, it's not exactly abandoned. It's her ex husband's RV, and he's living in it and won't leave. She wants my wife's fire department to burn it down. Wife's fire department declined.
You got to give her props for creativity
For
on that one.
trying.
She
She's like,
tried.
please don't make me answer your questions. Can you just come
Just come
do
do
it?
it.
It's abandoned. There's nobody in there.
God.
It's perfectly fine. Oh, I just thought creativity for the win.
What did her ex like
Also, why is he living in an RV on her property?
yeah.
Maybe just tell him to leave. Or like haul it off when he's not there one day.
There's less homicidal
Hostile.
ways of handling things.
Also, you're trying to get firefighters involved. That's just mean. You know,
They have other shit to do.
they're just trying to do their jobs.
Number 5 on our list comes from user Watch the Boom. Quote, a little kid called 911 because he wanted the cops to come and arrest his brother. You see, their mom said that the caller's brother was supposed to share the Legos, but he wasn't sharing. The caller's brother said that he was playing with all of the Legos, which wasn't possible. There were too many Legos for one person to play with all of them at once, argued our caller. Therefore, his brother was a liar, a jerk, and a turd, and we needed to come and arrest him. We had a high degree of confidence that this wasn't a coded request for help, so we asked to speak to an adult, confirmed that there was no distress, and closed the case. Share your Legos, kids. Yes, if your kid ever calls 911, don't get mad at them. We want them to call 911 if they think they should. We would much rather have them call 911 for something silly than have them not call when they should because they're afraid they'll get in trouble. End quote. Great advice. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised you didn't read that one because, dear God, if it had just been a few years ago, I can totally see your two
Mm-hmm.
minions acting this out.
Or my husband and one of the minions. He won't share.
Corey would be the
He
one
won't,
calling.
he won't share. My son won't share the Legos with me. I just thought it was so cute. There's no way that this one kid could play with all of these Legos. Like, my brother's a jerk.
He's a
I bet
liar, a
this is more
jerk, and a
frequent.
turd.
I get it. I have two boys. Yes, this seems very realistic to me. And I'm
Checks
sure
out.
I wonder how many calls they get from like siblings being like, "Can you come arrest my
Mm-hmm.
brother or sister because I hate them and they're mean."
To be so young and innocent and not jaded and twisted and just, yeah,
I know. Those are the days. Calling
those
the
are the
cops
days.
for Legos. Okay. Number 4 from user Place in the Ways. Quote, I took a call where a guy insisted he was in an argument with a man dressed as a giant Pepsi bottle. He said the man in the Pepsi suit had stolen his debit card and refused to give it back. Upon arrival, the officers told me he was high as shit in arguing with a vending machine. End quote.
Why do I feel like that could be in an Adam Sandler movie?
Yes! Oh my god. Drugs are bad.
That's all you can say about that one. Drugs are bad.
But it was just funny because, as you read something, you like picture it in your head. And I legitimately pictured like the SNL skit with Justin Timberlake and like the soup can costume, that was like so popular, but like a guy in a Pepsi bottle. I was like, maybe he's marketing for Pepsi or something on the street and like got into a fight with this dude or whatever. No. Vending machine.
Vending machine. Number 3 is from user Vagabond PTA. Quote, a frazzled mother called because her 6-year old had gotten into the roof and she couldn't get him down. She kept screaming about how we needed to hurry, not because she was worried he would get hurt, but because he had done this before and last time he peed in the air vents. End quote. Oof. Oof. Oh, God. Can you imagine? You know what? I'm going to side with the mom on this one. Like, I don't want my house smelling like piss again because,
No.
oh, nope.
How do you even clean that? How
Just
would you
burn the
clean
house down
that?
and start over.
Just fuck it. Just start over. We're leaving. And how did he get up there? Maybe block that access point? Um,
If, hey, kids are determined, no matter what, they are going to find a way.
oh my
Just all there is
god.
to it.
I just thought it was so funny. So gross. So gross. Peeing in an ear vent.
I
Disgusting.
mean, I can see why she wasn't like worried about his safety. He had done it before. Like she was fine with that. But dear God, if my house smells like piss again,
I'm
you're
done.
gonna get a phone call for another reason.
Like,
I
I'm
was
leaving. You
thinking
can
mom
stay
was gonna be
here.
running down the street naked, pulling her
Oh,
hair out and screaming.
or
We got a
abandoning
crazy
everybody
lady
in
in the
the
street.
house. She just snopes out. She's like, nope, y'all can stay. I'm leaving.
Fuck this shit. I'm out.
Yeah, that would be me. Okay, this next one is hilarious. Oh man, number 2 from user Razvi on Reddit. Quote: a caller called because they got their head stuck in a cat tree with the cat stuck inside with it. Throughout the call, I kept hearing like, "Ow, fuck," and "Dude, this isn't fun for me either." Dude, I know. Fuck, dude. The caller ended up going to the hospital for a minor case of serious head lacerations. Okay, I don't really know the severity, but I'm sure they got some stitches. The other cool thing was that the caller was using an Apple Watch to call 911 because obviously they wouldn't be able to hold the phone to their ear. End quote.
I'm dying. I'm sorry. Hold, please. Oh God. Oh, the
This
cat
cat's
was
like,
like,
get the
"What
fuck
the
out.
fuck?" Oh man, and when you invade a cat's personal bubble and you
No,
don't leave, they
no.
get pissed. So yeah, I'm sure homie had some definite need for going to the emergency room after that.
Dude, I know.
He's like, "Look, I'm
I
this
don't like
isn't
this
fun for
either.
me either."
How would you take that call and not just die laughing? The entire, like, how do you, I don't understand. I would not be able to do that job and stay serious in those kinds of situations at all.
I wonder, do they have like can they mute
They can.
themselves? So okay, I would just, you got to mute, cackle, unmute, compose, or compose then unmute, whatever.
Yeah.
You get the idea.
Good luck getting through this one.
Oh God. Okay. Uh sh- Last but apparently not least, finally from user Indigo Fox gives no fox. Props for the name.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, I had a guy call in on 911 because he was concerned about a seagull he thought was injured in a Chipotle restaurant parking lot. Apparently, while on the phone, he tried to pick up or check on the bird, at which point the bird started squawking, and then he started freaking out, and I started having trouble telling them apart. Then there I could hear what might have been wings flapping A brief silence, and suddenly the guy started hyperventilating and screaming he needed an ambulance because he was having a heart attack and that the bird flew off. I wasn't sure if he was being serious, so I got him over to EMS as a precaution. Upon transfer and getting EMS on the line, he got very quiet and said, "I think I'm okay. I'll call you back later," and hung up and would not answer on callback. I still wonder about Steven Seagal when I drive by a Chipotle. So, dude got like
This was
beat up by a seagull.
it's just probably minding its own fucking business in a Chipotle parking lot, probably looking for scraps of like a quesadilla or some shit. The part that gets me is the fact that he started freaking.
And I started having trouble telling them apart.
Like,
You know what? Can we just pause for a moment and appreciate the fact that I was able to get through that without losing my shit?
oh my god. I no, I couldn't. I was trying to read this to Corey earlier and I couldn't do it. It's like,
Nope.
nope. Oh my god. The
Don't.
hyperventilating and screaming thing got to me so bad.
He needed an ambulance because he was having a heart attack. But I'm curious. When he got really quiet and said, "I think I'm okay. I'll call you back." What happened?
He probably realized that he was being an idiot and like got embarrassed because he calmed down. Was like, uh, never mind. I'm okay. And then in his
Had a
embarrassment, he just never fucking answered the phone again. Probably threw it in the ocean, body of water,
had a
got a new one, changed his number.
moment of clarity.
Yeah,
I just got into a fight with a seagull, got my ass kicked, and I had a panic attack.
embarrassed myself. Steven Seagal.
I started having trouble telling them apart. Do you know what seagulls sound like whenever they screech?
Yes.
For a man to achieve that decibel,
I
that's
I want to know who this person. I just want it so I can visualize it. Like,
that's amazing. Oh, kudos to you, Steven Seagal.
oh, I hope you're okay somewhere. No
I'll
more.
probably remember this story when I go, if I ever go to a Chipotle again. Too much cilantro, man. Blech.
Just ask for no cilantro.
It's
I
still
guess it's in
like,
the rice.
yeah,
I'm
I don't
sorry.
like soapy
Amber
rice.
Amber has the fun thing
Hmm.
where cilantro tastes like. So fun side note
Devil's
about
lettuce.
Amber. Yeah, devil's. Oh, which one was your favorite?
Yeah, honestly, I think the cat one.
Yeah. Oh man. The cat one was hilarious to me, but there was something about the dude having a panic attack while trying to hold a bird that just like
Don't
killed
touch
me.
wild creatures. They will
No.
fuck you up.
There were so many. There was one that I didn't include on this list. That was this woman called because she was freaking out because there was a deer just like hanging out in her backyard, like minding its own business. She was like, "You need to come get this right now." Okay, Karen. That's what it said. You never seen a deer before? Like,
Ugh.
do you, dear listener, have a funny 911 dispatch call that you would like to share? Email it to us at weirdtruecrime@gmail.com. We'll share it in a future episode.
Follow us on all the things: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and get video content that complements the podcast. See y'all next week when we'll dive into another weird true crime case. But before we go, let's hear that riddle one last time. An old lady in the United States has a heart attack and dials 911. No one came and she died. How could this have happened? Well, she dialed, but never actually placed the call.
Until next time, stay safe.
And make good choices.
Bye.
Bye. Bye bye.